Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Super Bowl week for Super Bowl 57, the first Super Bowl in history to feature two African American quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs and Jalen Hurts for the Philadelphia Eagles. This should be one of the most exciting Super Bowls ever. It already is because of the history behind it on Black History Month. Who'd have thunk it? But I want to say one thing before I continue talking about Super Bowl opening night, and that's is something that I really want to emphasize here that I think cannot be understated. As much as this may seem to be for some, well, okay, it's this and what's the significance of it and haven't they got enough and all of that? Well, this is really the story of Americans coming together of different backgrounds to make absolutely certain that people who look like me, who have been treated in ways that are absolutely crazy and criminal because we're dark, don't live that kind of life anymore. That is starkly what this celebration is about. That is starkly why it's important to realize what has happened, to acknowledge it, to understand it, to embrace it, and to move forward. What does it say that we have two black quarterbacks commanding these champion teams of the AFC and the NFC? The AFC, of course, being the Kansas City Chiefs, and the NFC being the Philadelphia Eagles. It says something that we've all known as African Americans for a long, long time, that, yeah, we can do that job too. The job of running something. When I was 10 years old, I was at Avalon Park Elementary School in Chicago. At Avalon Park in those days, and probably now, you had to either fight or play basketball or both. That was the real hat trick if you could do both to be respected. I did neither well. I did not enjoy my childhood at Avalon Park. I met great friends and great people, but I didn't enjoy the school experience. And so in 1972, I went to my principal and I said, I can't learn at your school. And so they had me tested. And so they put me on something called an IQ test. 10 years old. I don't know anything about that stuff. All right. So as it turned out, I took the test not knowing what to expect, and my score was a 156. That is apparently some kind of genius level or whatever. But the teacher who I had a lot of respect for and I thought was my friend, was white woman, Ms. Godzuki, told me basically that I couldn't possibly be that smart. That's what she said. And she wanted to have me retested simply because she couldn't believe the score. And I went from the highest high to the lowest low. That my white teacher didn't want to see me as smart. It hurt. So I I talked to my mom about it when I took the test anyway. Retest took it. And my second score was a 131. I'll never forget it. It was a totally different test. So it was quite obvious that for her, it was very important that I not come out that way. What if I did? But what they realized was, hey, if you average the two scores, this guy's a pretty nutty guy. Okay, all right. And they're going to have me sent to a lab school in the northern suburbs. My mom said she didn't want me to come out to be a monster. She wanted me to know how to work with normal people. And so my grandfather, who was in Oakland, and just moved to Oakland, said, hey, send them out here. The California schools are better. And that is how I wound up in California. But I never forgot how awful I was treated because someone white told me I couldn't possibly be smart. That's what came out of that. That was my first personal experience with racism. I was 10. And it affected me for the rest of my life. Think about what quarterbacks do. Think about what quarterbacks are asked to do. Quarterbacks are asked to be the director of essentially the on the field version of the organization that hired them. So we refer to the Eagles offense, or the Chiefs offense, or the Bills offense, or the Cowboys offense. You get the idea. Quarterbacks are asked to be the thinkers, the persons that understand what to do when a play breaks down. What does it mean in actual parlance for a play to break down from an organizational perspective? What does that mean? It means, from an organizational perspective, that you're asked to handle uncertainty. You have to know how to deal with an environment where things, just aren't quite working like they should. But guess what? You have to do this very quickly. You have to think on the fly. Fortunately, your coach has a system that allows you to get out of trouble real quick. We've seen that. Scramble drills, how the receiver runs, approaches that were popularized by Bill Walsh, first at Stanford when he was the head coach there until 1979, and then with the San Francisco 49ers in 1980, and then we know what happened from there. Bill Walsh created the foundation by which we think about modern football. But what he really did was he corporatized football. He made quarterbacks really already what they were in offenses like the Dallas Cowboys under Tom Landry as head coach and Roger Staubach as quarterback, and before him, Don Meredith. Truly the CEO of the offense, calling the audible, changing the play for it, okay? Or think about the Raiders with Ken Stabler, who called his own plays. Ken Stabler was the true CEO of the offense with the Raiders. He wasn't working under the direction of the head coach. For all practical purposes, Ken Stabler was the offensive coordinator on the field, reading the defense, determining what kind of play would work best against a particular coverage. But you had to figure that out during the course of a game. All right? All of these functions were activities that had to come in, please. All of these activities were the functions of the quarterback. So now we put it in the hands of a black quarterback. For decades, it had been said that, come on in. For decades, it had been said that a black man could not think that way. Now we have two black men running offenses who can think that way. Otherwise, they would not have piloted their offenses to be in the Super Bowl. So this is a momentous occasion, and that's why it's to be celebrated. Because for so many years, people didn't, it's not so much that the black quarterback couldn't do it. It was that the black quarterback never had the chance to do it because no one wanted to believe that they could do it. That's why this is so special. So let me tell you, and that's why it's important to focus on it. So let me tell you what's going to happen tonight after, in a moment when the Super Bowl opening night starts. Right here will appear the quotes from all of the NFL players that will be on tonight. As you can see right here, they're already marked preset. There's Jarius Sneed, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Coach Reed, Nick Bolton, all the other players from the Chiefs and the Eagles. We'll have them right here. We will have them right here. Later tonight, we'll have quotes, audio, the whole 9 yards, as they used to say in British battle times. That's actually a term. So we'll have them right here. Now, as to what the current news is with respect to the NFL that you need to know, The Broncos coach is in place. That is Sean Payton. And he's promised to work well with his general manager. Additionally, there's a lot of talk about what will happen to the Saints because Sean Payton is now with the Broncos. Who will he take with him? Well, he's already taken his former assistant offensive line coach and made him the offensive line coach, gave him a promotion. He's poached the Saints coaching staff already. Who's next? Who will he take? That's the great question we all want answers to. Now, as to what I'm looking forward to tonight with respect to Super Bowl opening night, aside from the quotes, it's the wildness and the craziness. I was there. I even had the opportunity to interview the former, well, she was actually at the time the current Miss Universe. Yeah, Pia. So I've been to one of those. Folks, you can get a chance to go to one, it's a blessing. You can get a chance to go to a bunch of different ones, it's a blessing more still. So I'll be back to talk more about Super Bowl opening night, but then we have the NFL Honors that's coming up. And the NFL Honors is actually hosted by Kelly Clarkson this year. So I'll talk more about the NFL Honors in my next broadcast, and that will be later tonight. So we have a two-parter on a live stream. NFL tonight, Super Bowl. Who do you think is going to win? But I want you to remember the significance of the fact that we have two black quarterbacks for the first time. It means that finally people recognize that a black man can run an organization. That is a powerful thing. But most importantly, black folks realize that black men can do it. We always knew it, but it's kind of nice to see it on television. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark Oakland News Now blog on oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That ends this broadcast. Okay. Sorry.